Episode 6 of The Acolyte was about the same quality as Episode 5, maybe even a little bit better. I will say it felt as though they had brought in a new writer almost to help with the dialogue. The dialogue was much better. And that's good because it was a dialogue-heavy episode. There was basically no action at all. And it was just character building and trying to lure people to the dark side or, you know, help you understand what they're going through. There's some things I appreciated about it. It wasn't perfect, okay? Yes, the lagoon scene was a little weird. I think they needed to make sure to show the scar, which clearly is from the whip of the lightsaber whip of Venestra. It's got to be. I'm calling it right now. But I do think that each of the three storylines that were going on with Sol and May, with Keimer and Osha, and then with Venestra were each interesting. And I was like, ooh, I do want to know what happens next, where this is going. They felt there was some intrigue and a little bit of mystery to unravel there. So, you know, who was Keimer's master? Where did he come from? What's his deal? Is Osha going to turn to the dark side? Probably at least for a little while. I don't know that she'll stay there. We'll see. Is May going to come around and turn to the light side, at least for a little while? Probably. And in the end, I still call it that May and Osha are going to fight Keimer together. Okay, they're gonna work together to take him down, and then they're gonna go their separate ways, or they're gonna go back to the witches, do their own coven. Something's gonna happen, and so that they won't be sharing that information back with the Jedi Council. Sol, the actor who plays Sol, man, his acting was fantastic. Oh my gosh, and they actually let him have a moment where he's like angry and even crying a little bit over his fallen friends. Jedi aren't supposed to get super emotional, but he does, and that seems, appropriate. That's what a power person would feel when you go through an experience like that and everyone's killed. And he probably felt guilt. He felt somewhat responsible. You could see that what Keimer said to him had gotten to him a little bit, right? Because it got him really angry. And also he had called him out on, you brought Jackie, this child. That was you. Even though he's the one who killed her. So he was feeling all of that. And there was a little bit of release of that tension while he's crying. So that was good. I'm glad we got to see that. I guess the little sniffer tracker. Okay, fine. That's sort of the same storyline. Not as interested in that guy necessarily, or his weak attempts to expose May until he just tells Sol. I don't know. But then Sol zips off somewhere, right? He doesn't want to be there when Venestra shows up. So that's interesting. Either he knows something about Venestra, or he is going to go ahead and take her back to, it's got to be their home world, right? And I can't remember the name of it, but the planet that had the 2 moons, that's part of the title. And that's where all the witches were killed. So they're going to go back there and explore what happened. We're going to get some flashbacks. It's got to happen. I actually thought when Osha put the helmet on, the Kurtosis helmet, I thought that she was going to start getting a vision of what had happened, back in the day, maybe through the Force, at the same time that Sol is telling May about that same event, maybe 2 different versions of it. I don't know. There were definitely some echoes of The Last Jedi in this episode, out on this island. In fact, for a second, when they pulled away or panned out from this island, I thought, wait a minute, is that going to be the same island where Luke was? And maybe they're going to explain why that one part of the island was super evil or whatever, what happened there. But no, it's just an unknown planet. It's a different place. So still interesting and intriguing. And I know there's a lot of hate out there for it. It's fine. You don't have to like the show. There's valid critiques and criticisms of it, of course. And I can see some of that stuff myself. And I gave a lot more critiques, episodes 1 through 4. I've enjoyed 5 or 6 a lot more. I found them much more entertaining. Now, I still don't know how relevant they're going to be to the larger Star Wars story down the road. Is it okay to tell sort of side quest stories that don't necessarily have an impact on the entire universe? Yeah, I think it's okay to do that. In some ways, what's happening in the Andor series is like that, because we already know where it's all going, but how you fill in the details, I don't know that it matters as much, as long as it's just a good story and there's good characters and you care about them. Now, that's a challenge because they have yet to really make me care about Osha or May, unfortunately. I probably care more about definitely Sol and about Keimer even than I do about Osha or May at this point, right? So I don't know. Their motivations have been very easily flipped from one direction to the other, and so it's just hard to understand for sure what is going on in their heads. Really, are they just like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do? I feel kind of listless and without a purpose in the galaxy, and I'm trying to find that purpose. And maybe that is it, right? Because they had this huge loss as children, and now they've been searching, right? Osha tried to be a Jedi. It didn't work out, so she failed, right? She said, I failed. And May tried to be an evil apprentice, and that didn't really work out either. So they're both kind of failures, right? Sometimes that happens in life, right? So that maybe they're searching, they're trying to figure out what to do. Now listen, guys, I've said this before, I am not a big time YouTuber, I'm just a chump, but all comments are welcome here. I want to give you balanced reviews, as long as they're not like, way past the line. But it's okay if you hated it. Tell me about it. That's fine. And if you liked it, I want to hear that too. I would be interested in really hearing how people feel. And it doesn't have to be like one extreme or the other, really. Like, I think it's good for us to kind of pick these things apart and enjoy what we can. And, maybe look at the things that we're less comfortable with and be like, I don't care for that. There were aspects of the prequels that large portions of the fan base really didn't care for, right? But there were some amazing things too, right? Some of the lightsaber battles, the pod race, there were some really impressive things in it that we still talk about, right? But if we're being really honest, we go back and we look at some aspects of the story, definitely some of the dialogue, that's a little clunky at times. But that's okay. Star Wars has always kind of been that way. Now, one of the big complaints out there, of course, is about the sort of the political aspect of this. Honestly, I think that has a lot more to do with the conversations that showrunners and actors and so forth are having, off screen than it does about anything that's happening on screen, because there's plenty of room to, I guess, to pick different things in the Star Wars universe. But I don't know that it, needs our politics. It certainly should have politics. It's got its own, right? I mean, that was half the plot of the prequels. It was all about politics, right? So there's going to be some messages built in there, and they're probably messages of a pretty young generation as some of these filmmakers start to come up. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see where they're trying to go with this story. I really want a satisfying ending, and but if Kymer is just the apprentice, a failed apprentice or kicked out apprentice or whatever of Venestra, that's okay. I guess I do really kind of want there to be another Sith Lord. What I really hope they don't do is say, from a canon perspective, is say that there was a break in the line of the Sith, of the rule of two, and that that Kymer was just kind of ticked off and started it up again on his own, and is going to try to kind of, I don't know, make a link, get back to Plagueis somehow, and then back to Palpatine, etc. in the future. Gosh, I hope they don't do that, though. I want there to be some consistency to the established lore, but I am okay with adding additional elements that change the way we look at it. So it's a fine line to walk, right? I'm not saying I could do it better, but I am looking forward to the next couple of episodes. I've gotten some hope back because of 5 and 6. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure and do so. I try to leave balanced reviews, not just for Star Wars content, but for all kinds of content, anything that would really show up on Disney Plus. Right? So if you like some of the stuff on Disney Plus, if you don't like some of it, check out some of my other content, see if this may be helpful for you, and if you want to see more. Thanks.